The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. Welcome to the premiere edition of the Knicks in the Zone, starring Sam Stith. Sam, how are you?
So far, so good. I woke up this morning. That's the main thing. You know,
that's a big start. That's like 80% of it right there.
I'm good now.
All right. For those of you who are uninformed, we intend to inform you that Sam Stith is a former New York Knick and a Duquesne, not a Duquesne, but a Bonnie, a former Bonnie. And we are just delighted to have you on the network, Sam. You've
always a pleasure.
You've done some podcasts with me before, and unbelievably enlightening about the times that we lived in. I'd like to start off by talking about your brother. Tom Stith was an All-American at St. Bonnie's, as many of you know, and his career was kind of curtailed. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, what had happened during the year, by the way, he's a superstar, top-notch, a player's player, top-notch ball player. And I was with him all my life. Unbelievable ball player. What had happened during the season, he was losing weight. And after the NCAA tournament, he got back to campus, and they decided to do a checkup on him and discovered he had tuberculosis. All right. And ironically enough, his roommate, another Bonner legend, Brett Crawford, they're both teammates and roommates. And they both had contracted tuberculosis, so they had to go into a sanitarium. Back then, it was very dangerous. Matter of fact, my wife's father died of tuberculosis back in the day, and they put both of them in a sanitarium, again, the same room, And he slowly recovered. It took a long time, 4 or 5 months they were there, and it took a long time to recover. And then when he finally got out, he resumed basketball like nothing ever happened. Unbelievable, pen and spread. They resumed like just a stopgap. You got to understand something. We all came from Harlem. We always had this residual thing. We go tough, we tough people, tough attitude, tough everything. And so he beat it. So him and Fred, they both recovered, both ended up in the NBA, and so did Fred, so.
Beautiful.
Very took a toll on my family, particularly myself, because I was very close with him, and it sort of shocked me that when it happened, So they never
his game suffered as a result. He really wasn't the same Tom Stith. Am I correct?
Say again.
His game suffered as the result of the illness, and he wasn't the same on the court, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he didn't get an opportunity, all right? Let me put it this way. You heard of the Eastern League, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eastern Basketball League, tougher than the NBA back then. The Eastern Basketball League was toughest ball players, better than the NBA, right? He went down and played, averaged 35 points. He averaged 35 points a game in the Eastern Basketball League. So he's fully recovered. You follow me? So, but he went down there after the Knicks unceremoniously dropped him. He went down Eastern League. Big time, nothing changed. Guys in the Eastern League still talk about him. You follow him? Carl Green, Sonny Hill, all those guys who play. Nothing changed. He had the same game, and then I happened to play with him at Allentown, Allentown Jets, with ironically enough coached by Brendan McCann, another Bonner grad. But no, he went down. He was getting sometimes 40 games, sometimes 45, normal. So it affected him a little bit in the NBA because he didn't get an opportunity.
Okay, let me talk about, just to get to know you a little bit, let me talk about your hero growing up, Sayugo Green, and what he meant. He was your hero. And tell us why and what he meant to you.
Was Sayugo?
Yes, Sayugo.
Growing up, we looked up to certain ball players, right? We call them, we sort of call them heroes back then. You follow me? And Sayugo, we loved them. And my brother, we wanted to be like Sayugo Green. And, other players, grew up in Harlem, you follow me? Ed Warner, who ended up in Niagara, want to be like them, you follow me? And we sort of followed their lead. So, ironically enough, when I was getting inducted into the Atlantic 10 Hall of Fame in Barclays Center, the principal of my university said, Sayugo, he had passed away. His mom is here, you follow me? Let's go meet her, right? And I went over, and Sister Margaret said, Sam is a fan of your son. And I gave my name, and she says, are you one of them brothers? She knew I was on cloud. Man, I floated when she said that. I said, well, I'm Sam. So I always talked about you guys, right? Mm-hmm. And I felt I was on cloud nine. It made my whole week hearing that from her, But outstanding play. He did okay at Duquesne. I played against him when I was in the NBA. He was in Chicago.
Right.
So that was, but we had heroes back then. Today the heroes in Harlem and New York is the drug kingpins with the Cadillacs and basketball players. Those are your heroes today. Back then.
Well, how has Harlem changed over the years?
Say again?
How has Harlem changed over the years?
How has the game changed over the years?
How has Harlem itself changed sports-wise, basketball-wise?
Oh, man, let's talk about basketball. Just did an article on that. These are the most athletic ball players ever existed. I don't want to hear about the old days, because in the old days, you well know, the guy would run to the forward position, another guy to the forward position, a guy would run to the center. These are the greatest athletes ever put on the hardwood. You follow me? The problem they have is a low IQ. I don't understand. If you're down by one and you take a three with time running out, that boggles my mind. You only need, if you drive, you're going to get fouled because a guy going to step away. You're down by one, you take a three. The next other night, I got disgusted. I'm watching them. Boston hit 27 threes against them. 27 threes. You follow me? Okay. Why are you leaving? By the way, these are jump shooters today. These are pure jump shooters. These are not guys hoping to go in. These are pure jump shooters. And 80% of threes come from the corner because it's the closest to the basket. You follow me? Now, why in the world would I leave my man to go double team somebody? Most of the shots are uncontested, which means nobody's there. I just jump on my kids in my camp and stuff, my league, when I go to AAU league, not now, but I would say forget them making it. I don't want them taking it. I get in their face before they take it. You follow me? Why should I take a chance they're going to make it? Right? So I'm watching the game, and they're totally bottoms. Now, back in the day, we had 16 millimeters. We couldn't see nothing until 3 days later. Right now, at halftime, you can look at the video and see what you're doing wrong. Why are you leaving that man in the corner and go double team? You can't double team anybody today. These guys got too many moves. And finally, the Suns the other night out here, right, the guy makes a jump shot to win the game for him. He took 3 steps back. Obvious 3 steps, right? Hilliard with a Portland jump shot. 2 steps back. Finally, the league came down and said the refs was wrong, should have been traveling. The game is over. Why can't you play the last 30 seconds? You follow me? And same thing with Portland. The other team lost, right? So the game is so fast now. I was telling Lee Jones, former ref, you need 4 referees in the league now. 3 ain't doing it. These guys are too phenomenal, athletic-wise. IQ low. They just that they don't know. They can't think the game right. You follow me? You got to really be a coach on the floor. You follow me? And to know what's going on, you got to know. We used to rest on offense and hustle on defense. Now, 110 points, 115 points. Most of them are threes. And by the way, when I was in ABL, we started the 3-point shooting, right, which was a fantastic weapon. But now let's take baseball, right? They wonder why the game is so long. Let me name 2 pitchers for you: Bob Gibson, Don Drysdale. If you got in the box, before you got in there, you fix this, you fix your shingle, you fix your armbands, you fix your neck, you do all this, boom, boom, getting ready for the cameras. And you step in the batter's box. Drysdale and Gibson be at your head so quickly you wouldn't know it hit you. It's too showboating now. Still wearing bling on a baseball field. You follow me? And they don't understand what. And a guy gets in the batter box, he shouldn't be allowed to step out. Stay in the batter box till you finish. Period. Now next year they got a pitch count on the pitches next year. But in football, let me tell you something. They miss so many calls. Now you can't hardly touch a quarterback. Let me rephrase that. You can't touch certain quarterbacks. You follow me? And keep in mind, right, you playing football and you coming after a guy. How are you going to stop that quick? How are you going to immediately stop like Willie Coyote? How could you stop that quick? Your momentum going to carry you into the quarterback. Now, if you face mask him or something, dirty, which there's not that many really, really dirty ball players anymore in the NFL like it used to be. But because they all, one thing about a guy, the common denominator in basketball and sports, a lot of guys got the same agent. You follow me? And the agent saying, don't mess up Michael. You follow me? Because he's our breadwinner. They're very careful. You follow me? Who they pick on. But in the NFL, the guy's got a momentum going after you. How in the world can he stop? Your best bet is the duck. But
I have a question for you off the subject a little bit. How could Wilt have gone an entire career without fouling out?
You want an answer, right?
Yeah.
He was so agile, right? First of all, you're a fool to go in there and drive. He's so agile and finesse, he didn't have to foul you. He just blocked your shot. He just blocked your shot. He didn't have to foul you. You come down the middle. There was one time, Johnny Green, while I was playing with the Knicks, Johnny came down, one of the few guys who would dunk, and went up to dunk the ball, and Wilt took it. Johnny made the dunk, right? Because Wilt held back. And Wilt told him after the game, next time I break you on. This guy was so physically strong. Only guy I've seen like that in the last is Shaquille O'Neal. You follow me? But he was so finesse. This guy was just a lumbering guy like the old school lumbering down the court. This guy was an athlete, a track star. So he could time his leap to block. Same thing with Bill Russell. Everybody forgot. Bill Russell didn't foul out games. He didn't foul out games because they blocked shots the correct way. He don't want to talk about that. The only thing that difference between him and Will play 48 minutes per game. He didn't sit on the bench. You know why? He didn't want to be embarrassed sitting on the bench. He's 7 foot, people be mocking him. Played the whole 48 minutes. Win or lose, 48 minutes every game. But he didn't have to foul, because and keep in mind, referees got a mindset. If he did foul someone, they're not going to call it because he's not used to fouling. You follow me? Let me go back to Walker. Elgin Baylor, we all called him two-step Baylor. You follow me?
Right.
He took 2 steps, but the refs, that's his thing. That's his MO, is taking 2 steps on the way to before he gets to the basket. That's his MO. But Wilt didn't have to foul out because Russell didn't foul out of games because they would block shots. The only difference is that Russell would come out the game sometime. You follow me? And, sit on the bench. But Wilt was so agile that his timing was astronomical. But you got to be a fool to drive down the middle. The word on Russell, if you're driving down the middle and you don't see him, you get worried because you know he's coming. right? Somewhere out of the blue, he's coming, and you miss shots. But Will was a agile player, so he didn't have to. Sometimes he had to jump to block the shot, just stand there and block it. And but let me put it this way, Ralph. If he fouls somebody, they're gonna be hurt.
Right.
They'll be hurt. If he fouls, he was very, very concerned about hurting somebody. You follow me? And if he fouls you, you're hurt. Clyde LaVelle, right, who played Hawks and with Boston.
St. Louis Hawks.
In the game, he said something to Wilt. Whatever it was, he's on the foul line, and Wilt walked the foul line, hit him right at the top of his head, and he just dropped out. Like then, they didn't kick you out the game or call technicals. That's the only time he was, did something physical to somebody. But you didn't want to tangle with him or Shaq, no guys like that.
Well, St. Louis had a history of being very racist.
Yes,
and,
all of them. Yep.
One of those guard was a Cleo Hill, who was basically kept out of the St. Louis lineup because they were prejudiced. No other word for it. There was
one of the most prejudiced team ever. And what happened is two places that we didn't want to go to, right? Boston and St. Louis. Because the name calling was all over the place. So, and they had a tough team. That team, Hagan, LaVelle, and Pettit, they had a history. Then later on, ironically enough, like New York Knicks favorite Richard Gere ended up coaching them, and he was a tough Marine ball player, and he brought in toughness. And they went a little bit above and we call, but that's the old game. Today you look at a play and they call a foul. You say something, it's a technical. It's ridiculous. Now they got a new rule now. It just came out yesterday. I don't know if you saw it. No more carrying the ball. No more carrying the ball.
Ooh.
The Iverson rule. No more carrying the ball. And the other day they called 3 on that boy from the Golden State Warriors, that young and up and coming star. They called 3 carrying the balls on him. The next one they should get rid of, what's this Euro step? That's walking.
Yes.
What is a Euro? That's walking. A Euro step is a giant 2-step walk. I wonder how they're going to react to that. But they came out with 2 rules yesterday. One, the carrying the ball and traveling. They're going to really keep an eye. And as soon as they said that, they caught the boy on the Suns are playing against, and he took 3 steps back, 3 steps, and made it at the buzzer to beat the Suns. And the refs are right there. I got to ask Lee Jones, did they get reprimanded on that when I talked to him?
Who was the best ref back then?
Well, back in my day, we had Sid Borgia. That's the old time name. And then you had Norm, back then. Earl Strom. Earl Strom was a well-respected referee by all the players. Sid Borgia was an icon. And one of my favorite people was Dick Bavetta. Tell you a story about Dick Bavetta. Right? You remember him?
Please.
Dick Bavetta. Dick Bavetta?
Please.
He ref in the NBA?
Yes.
Okay. When I was in my banking career, I was a commissioner of the bank basketball league, and I had him as my ref, paying him $50 a month as my referee. So he got into the NBA. He ref 35 years, right, and never missed a game.
Wow.
35 years. They finally kicked him out 3 years ago. Never missed 35 years of refereeing. And another one of the guys that ref me in high school, Richie Powers, was his claim to fame. Remember in the Garden during that fight, the guy come on the court and hit him. But Richie Powers, 35 years without missing a game. Ray Snowstorm. But back then, the refs knew the game back then. A lot of them had played, you follow me? And they know when to call it. And you know when you did something wrong. Real quick story. Lee Jones is the rookie ref in L.A. He called a technical on Jerry West, okay, and kicked him out the game. And Will came over to Lee and said, "That's Jerry West. You can't kick him out the game." And Lee says, "You're next." And he said, after I said it, Sam, I sort of want to run. But the players know who to mess. Let's talk about coaches. Phil Jackson, Red Auerbach, those coaches, they should get in the ref's head and plant seeds in their heads. You follow me? In a nice way. Some of them, what's he doing? You see him, he's 3 seconds in the lane. Refs ain't really looking for 3 seconds. Today, it's no such thing as 3 seconds. They will get in their head. Look at, come on, Sid, he's 3 seconds in the lane. And they'll get in the ref's head. Rod Auerbach was famous for it. Phil Jackson was famous for it. So they did a psychological thing on the refs. You follow me? But right now, it's very difficult for 3 refs in the game. These guys, they got 7 foot bringing the ball up. 6'8". There's no centers anymore.
I think it was Magic who basically changed the game forever.
Who's the Magic?
Yeah. 6'9" guy bringing the ball up. Point guard.
First got to be like 6'8", 6'9", bring the ball up. What got me one time, I was watching Kevin Garnett when he was in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked, he was bringing the ball up. I go, wait a minute, this guy's 7'2". Now, let me just go back a little. When I played, if we saw a big guy dribbling, we taking that ball. We're taking that ball because we got that. Today, they do a 360 on you. Unbelievable. And everybody dunks. 6'2" dunking over, all this type of stuff. But refereeing is very, very difficult. You keep changing. They changed the rules yesterday on the carrying and the walking all of a sudden because they missed 2 games the other night. The Suns lost the game. Now, keep in mind of the tie score. Who said they'd have won in overtime, But 3 steps back. I stood there and go, oh, that guy just took 3 steps and no whistle. Players knew it. Sometimes when you run in the restroom, you start laughing, which you got away with.
Laughing rather than cursing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But game has changed. It's changed a lot, but in a way for the better. But this low basketball IQ, I don't understand it. A lot of players got some issues. I don't understand it. That you're down by 1 and you take a 3. I can't get that out of my mind. Or down by 1 instead of taking a 2 or driving and get fouled. You're going to get fouled or you're going to make the shot. It's very simple. But not today. I saw the boy on the Hawks, the jump shooter. They were up by 2, and the clock is ticking off, and he took a 3. But they were up. I take a 3.
You need a 3 like a moose needs a hit rack at that point.
They all whatever kid you can shoot. Unbelievable. We got the boy out here, Booker, man. He can shoot any place on the floor.
Okay. Sam, tell me about how you and Tommy reached St. Did you call him Tommy? Was that did he go by that at all?
I can't really hear you. What you say?
Did you call your brother Tommy? Was it fashionable to call him that, or did he just like to be called Tom?
Tom for all his life. Tom.
Okay.
Instead of Tom.
Tell me about how you guys reached St. Bonaventure and how you met the coach that would be such an influence on both your basketball careers.
Yes. Well, let me start from high school. Let's talk about high school, all right? What had happened is that I'm in junior high school now. We're in junior. We had a bad team. I mean, and somebody booked us to play this private high school in Brooklyn called St. Francis Prep. Okay, an exhibition game, right? We walked into the gym. I saw all these guys down there, all white guys with nice uniform, beautiful court, and they're going to keep score. But to make it like a real game. right? So we got on the floor, and they met a referee, you know. And on that team, St. Francis, a ball player named Joe Quigg. Joe Quigg was All-American. Joe Quigg played for North Carolina in the city championship, right, against Kansas and Wilt. They're in the game, right? They up, and they threw the ball into Chamber, and Joe stole the ball. Game over. You follow me? Then a player named Gus Alfieri, you follow me, who went to the Star of St. John's, right? We beat them by about 15 points, plus beat them physically. You follow me? We're young kids. So the next thing I know is that the priest at St. Francis offered us a scholarship, you know, to come there, you know, to play on the team for free, and letting us know we'd be the first African Americans to play in the school or in the whole league, Catholic League, right? So we went there, and for some reason they put me on the varsity. Because back then you go freshman, JV, and the varsity, right? And they immediately put me on the varsity. They put Tom on the freshman team. I was a year ahead of him, right?
Right.
And when I walked into the dressing room against the same guys we beat, right? They didn't speak to me. They didn't welcome me to the team, including the coach, right? It's no Jackie Robinson story, you know. It's not nowhere near that. So I just say, you know, I just have to do what I got to do. In practice, they tried it. Didn't work in practice, you know. When the season started, I was 10th man sitting on the bench and never got in until garbage time, right? Meanwhile, Tom is on the freshman team, and they loving him. And the league came back and said, we don't want him as a freshman because the league now, because he's better than anybody in the league. So they moved him up to the varsity. He became the 10th man. I became the 11th man. And we didn't get in until garbage time. And they're winning, so you can't say anything, right? So my brother's quiet, unassuming, don't get excited, you know, and I'm boisterous and talking. And the priest saw me in the hallway, the principal of the school that got us there, and he just told me to be patient. And it went right through me when he said the way he said it, you follow me? So I live. Now, here's the ironic part. Tom would get in with 3 minutes ago. I would get in with 2 minutes ago, right? Nobody left the gym until we got in. And we showtime, right? And it got bad.
The fans knew.
Huh?
The fans knew.
And during the game, they kept yelling, put them brothers in, which pissed off our teammates. Put them, no matter what the score was, put us in. And yeah, the coach didn't do it. And we continue like that. And the Daily News had an article, if these guys on the team next year, they're going to go undefeated. And the following year, everybody graduated, we were 31-0. And the next year, we were 31-2. Now, went to St. Francis, and we weren't Catholic. And they took care of us, forget the player, but the school itself. You follow me? And I lost my mom. You follow me? So we were like orphans. And they took care of us in the best way to educate us and tell us you're going to be educated before basketball. It's secondary, and you're going to have to study. It's a private school. They're not like a public school. And lo and behold, when I'm graduating, trying to pick a school, and we already made up our mind. We're going to a Franciscan school. The school we wanted to go was St. Francis College in Brooklyn, but they didn't have a campus. So then I went to St. Bonnie's and met with the coach up there, and then I talked to Tom. And we decided, the rule was my sister laid out the rules to anybody. One go, both go. It's a practice deal.
When your mom passed away, basically your sister raised you guys. Am I correct?
My two sisters and my sickly grandmother until she passed away. And they were going to put us in Barstow homes. And my sister, no, we'll handle it. They were 18 and 16 years old. And my father died when I was 2 years old. He got murdered when we were 2 years old. So, and ironic enough, we never saw a basketball until I got to Harlem. I'm age 10, the first time I picked up a basketball. And Tom was 8. But in our public grammar school, the guy said, come on, I'm going to show you guys how to play basketball. And we listened, go to junior high school, and we listened. We joined a team, the best ever, the Lucky 7 club team. And keep this in mind. 4 years later, we're getting basketball scholarships. And the reason being, we worked hard. I had to work a little bit harder because Tom was gifted. And we ended up at St. Francis. So we decided to go to St. Bonaventure, talking to the coach. I said, oh, this should be nice. He's a nice guy. And we ended up, choosing St. Bonaventure. And then
now, you and Freddie Crawford were basically the first stars at St. Bonnie.
No, back it up. And I just saw it today. There was a star, and they don't talk about the Caucasian guy. I was the first African American to ever play on the team, right? First ever in the school, and Tom was second, and Fred was third. Now, a guy named Billy Kimball, I did the whole thing with doing a documentary on that. And I said, no one ever mentioned these guys prior to me coming to St. Bonaventure. No one knew who St. Bonaventure was, right? Billy Kimball ended up playing with the Syracuse Nationals, 2 national NBA championships. And I just saw today they're going to finally retire his number at the school. And I wrote an article on that. But no one heard. You understand something? They didn't have no top schedule. They only played up in Buffalo area, Albany. Those are the only places they played. No one knew who they were. And they just played.
Canisius, I think you played Canisius a lot. That's where Richie Guerin was from. If you had it to do all over again, have you done the same thing?
Exactly.
Good.
Exactly. We picked the right school.
I love hearing that.
We picked the right. Freddie will tell you today, Tom, God rest his soul, we didn't ever look back on picking that school. That was one of the best experiences that one could have ever in life. And by the way, back then we weren't thinking about no NBA. By the way, it was so molded in our head to get an education, to get a job after. And not only me, but a lot of players, we weren't thinking about no NBA. Because they weren't popular, it wasn't that popular back then, if you remember.
Right.
But we would do it all over again. Same school, same situation.
Tell me about the coach, Mr. Donovan.
One of the best motivators, not to go into the detail, he would come in the dressing room, says, our father Malachi went to the hospital, pray for, we go out, he think that motivators. You are motivated when the ball goes up. And the next day we see Father Malachi, so I went to visit a friend, right? And now, when I got to what I did not know, they were a losing team when I got there. You follow me? They were a losing team, and I got there, and the word was if they don't win that year, he's getting fired, right? He's getting fired.
Right.
But he got lucky. He got lucky because he recruited some players from New York. Sean Renard High School, Cardinal Hayes High School, Manual Training High School, New York ball players who knew the game, right? And he got really lucky with that. They ended up going to NIT, okay? No one knew who they were coming down from Olean, New York, right? And they got really, really lucky. They weren't even seeded. Cincinnati was seeded number 2. Seattle with Elgin Baylor was seeded number 1. And they beat both of them. And now everybody started talking to the little school up north. And Donovan he knew X and O's better than any coach you'll ever come across. And now he had a problem. The first game of the season, I'm a freshman, right? And he's screaming. I'm talking about at the referees. To the point he was really noticeable. He's screaming, biting his lips, and all this nonsense. He called my classmate to go in, and he forgot to put him in. So I was sitting over in his office one day, and I said, Coach, you mind if I say something? I said, I think when you're screaming at the refs and stuff, you lose track of the game. Like Mike, you didn't put in the other day after you called him to come in. He didn't say a word. And I said to myself, are you crazy? You're a freshman, and you're telling this guy, the coach, he never did it again. Never screaming at the refs ever again, right? And
well, you had no trouble speaking your mind. I'll interrupt this. Tell me about your Jackie Robinson story when you got out of the service.
Okay. He was a chairman.
Just to give the folks an idea how Sam Stith will always say what's on his mind. Can't stop him. And that's what I love about you, Sam.
He was a chairman of Chock full of nuts, you know. And I went to interview with a job, nice white-haired lady sitting behind the desk there. I only had one piece of paper. You know, I didn't do that much as a resume. And she started asking me all these questions about my qualifications. So she said, well, Mr. Robinson's looking for someone who, got their college degree. I said, well, I got my degree in criminology. And I'm looking for someone who really had experience. I said, well, during school time, I worked at Honda Hog. I worked at a lot of restaurants, a waiter and a dishwasher. I did all those odd jobs. And then she says, well, I'm sorry, but, you really want somebody who's been in the armed force. I said, well, I just got out of the Army. And I said, by the way, what's your job? You're going to train in the subway. I go, and you put me through this? Give me and I grab my piece of paper. As I'm walking out, who walks in but my hero, Jackie Robinson? And what do I say to him? That's BS. I use a whole word on those, by the way. That's BS in there. They ain't hiring people. And I got in the subway and started thinking, what did I just do? My hero. Instead of getting his autograph, I'm going off on him. And he didn't know what hit him. I got his autograph because he opened a clothing store on 125th Street. Not a good move, by the way. And I went and got his autograph there. He's selling expensive clothes in Harlem. We bought our suits for $15 off the rack. But he, great guy. I just went and got an autograph. He just signed it right away. But I hate to go off on the guy. But I was so mad at how the lady treated me. You follow me? That I took it out on him.
Well, it was cathartic for you. Let's put it that way. It made you feel better, and you didn't keep it inside. And I think to live a happy life, you have to speak your mind.
You got to say something. You just things are all right. You accept it. One thing I do not do is somebody is made up their mind on something. You follow me? I don't try to change it because nothing I say is going to change it. You follow me? Real quick, I'm in the Army and I'm getting out, and we were going to the tournament, and the colonel who loves sports, he told my headquarters commander, he says, keep him here until the tournament's over. I go, wait a minute, I got a contract to go to Cleveland. I got to be out of here by tomorrow. And he said, well, we lost you. He said, look at me, Sam. You ain't going to look at what's on my shoulder here. All this. You ain't going nowhere until the tournament's over. He made up his mind up. So anything I say after it means nothing. Zero. And that's how I go with life. I cannot change. I had a bad story that happened to me in June. I was at my daughter's house in New Jersey. And she's bringing all these people over to meet me and meet my wife. And the one guy walks in, an elderly guy, and he sits down and he says, you play bad. He said, let me tell you something. He says, Russell taught Wilt how to win. And I asked him to repeat that. He says, Russell, who won them championships, taught Wilt how to win. I said, first of all, let me give you Russell's team, right? Cousy, Havlicek, Heinsohn, the Jones boys, Bill Russell, right? Wilt's team, the Temptations, the Supremes, Marvelettes. You didn't know what I was talking about. That's Wilt's team, right? Well, when Wilt got Lou Jackson, Walter Jones, they won a championship. So he kept at it. He said, no. I said, can I say something, sir? I was there playing against both of them when I was with the Knicks. I was right there, and I knew what was going on. You follow me? I knew the Chamberlain went to Russell's house before the game in Boston. I knew all that stuff. And he kept saying, no, but I said, never mind. Forget it.
Right. Sometimes you have to go, never mind.
I'm telling him I was there. So as soon as I said that should stop the conversation, right? So I left it alone. These when we talk baseball, he's talking about Dodger fan.
Right. All three of you guys. All three of you guys played for Donovan on the Knicks.
Right.
What must have that been like in your minds? Small school, St. Bonaventure. I think you beat Seattle. Am I correct?
That team, what I mentioned, that I was a freshman then. I didn't play against them. I was a freshman. The varsity played against them. You follow me?
Okay.
And along that line. But
But my point is, who would have known that three guys off a small school in upstate New York would have turned out 3 out of the 10, 12 guys on the New York Knickerbockers? That's an incredible story. I know a lot through you about your brother Tom. I don't know anything about Fred. Tell me something about him.
Phenomenal ball player. I'm talking about, I had a master plan when I got to Bonnie's, and my master plan was this, Ralph. When I'm a senior, we all went to the same junior high school, by the way, in Harlem, right?
Right.
So when I'm a senior, Tom a junior, Fred to be a sophomore. And the three of us to play together, right? Fred didn't really qualify educational-wise to go to Bonnie's, right? So we asked him to go to prep school for a year to qualify, which he did. You follow me? So he comes to Bonnie's. Let me tell you about the trio here. As a freshman, the scoring record of freshman was 40 points, right? Okay. I got 42 to break the record, okay? Tom's first game there, he got 62. Right? Fred comes, and back then I used to coach the varsity when the coach was away. I used to coach the freshmen. I'm coaching a freshman, and we were playing in the Armory, and they were trying this walkie-talkie thing from the bench up to the balcony, and this is what I would get. Freddie 45, Freddie 50. My brother's up in the stands looking at this. Freddie 61, Freddie 63, and he broke Tom's record with 63. So I had 42, Tom is 61, and Fred is 63. Fred was, by the way, an outstanding individual. He worked in a mental kids, people forever with first nurses. But a phenomenal ball. He came back and played at Bonner's and averaged 20 after the tuberculosis. He came back to Bonner's. He had another year on his education. He came back and he averaged 26 points a game. Right?
Whoa.
Now, but I was drafted by Cincinnati, right? And at the time, it was the ABL, American Basketball League, right? And that league was set up this way. It was mostly for minorities because the only way it would be that way. If you didn't get drafted to the NBA, you go play in the ABL. And the ABL was structured that they give you a job and supplement your income. You follow me? That was
right.
Supposed to be, but supposed to be. So at the time, during my senior year, Donovan had booked us to play the Cleveland Pipers. We did not know that was a pro team, right? We didn't know they were a pro team. And they come into the Armory. By the way, we won 99 straight games on the Armory. They come in, these were some huge guys, coached by John McClendon, right? And we beat them. We beat them. So now we got to play them again, later in the year in Cleveland, okay? Here's when you talk about a phenomenal ball player, right? We're down by one. For a timeout, and the clock is ticking when we get back on the floor. And I threw it into Tom, as I always did. He turned around, looked up at the basket, took a jump shot, and walked to the corner and went in. That was his 65th point. He had 65 points. that game. And I always said we had the record for most points in Division One, 73. He had 65, and I had 8. But 22 assists, and I had 20. And that's when George Steinbrenner owned the Cleveland Pipers, by the way. So after that, when I was graduating, Cincinnati was they drafted me, and then Mr. Steinbrenner called me to come to Cleveland, meet with him, and he says, "I'll pay you more because I know what you're gonna get in the NBA. I'll pay you, the salary in the NBA, by the way, was $5,500 a year minimum." Right. And he says, I'll sign you up to play with us, right? So I said, all right, that'll work. Then he arranged me to go into the Army, with National Guard, so I can be there for the season. So I went to play with the greatest team I've ever been on in my lifetime. Cleveland Pipers, coached by John McClendon. Great, great coach. And he had all those guys from Tennessee State. And we ended up winning, I think, 84 games and losing 6 and won the championship. Steinbrenner paid well. All of us got paid well and treated well. We had our own plane, treated well, right? Yeah. And he didn't like losing. So even when we lost a game, he would come in the dressing room and says, that's it for the week, right? No more losses? And tremendous. And then what happened?
He had a football coach mentality.
Yeah, exactly. And what happened? So then, the end of the season, found out that Donovan got the job with the Knicks as coach, right? And then they called me to come in, and I said I'm ready to sign back with Mr. Steinbrenner. You follow me? So they upped the ante, and gave me a 1-year contract, no cut, and I went on with the Knicks. Here goes the mystery that I would never, ever understand. Okay? No one ever heard of Eddie Donovan or St. Bonnie's. You follow me? Minorities, non-existent. We changed the whole culture. You had Fred Crawford, you had Bob O'Neill, you had a lot of guys, Billy Butler coming through there. You follow me? We changed the culture, right? And which helped him get the job with the Knicks as coach. And the first day in practice, he said something he should never say it. He said to Richie and Willie Knowles, look, I want to depend on you guys to show me how to coach an NBA. I'm going, why would he say that? You follow me? So he treated me and Tom and Fred in a way that's practically a mystery to me why he did it to us. Couldn't understand it. Season start, having a great camp. Right now, Waddy Martin, who played as my backcourt mate at Bonnie Knight, good ball player. You started him to begin the season. Now, keep in mind, the NBA back then had a quota on how many minorities can start a game, right? And
unless you were the Boston Celtics.
Oh, our back don't care how one players. So now, we had Willie Knowles, Johnny Green, Cleveland Buckner, and me. Right, right. But 2 of them started. So after the New York Post was doing the right, I said, how come I'm not starting over Whitey? When I got in the game, even Donald said I changed the tempo. So how come I'm not? So he started me. So now you got Johnny Green, Will Knowles, and me. I'm playing the backcourt with Richard Guerin. Here's when it started. December 15th is a cut down date. You follow me? So players got to be released or signed for the whole year, okay? And it's like a waiver thing. You look for who's coming off the waiver list. So he called me in his office and asked me could I do him a favor. Could I sit out 5 games like I'm sick? Because he wanted to take a look at Al Butler, who just got cut from Boston. Al Butler, I played against him in Niagara. Jump shooter galore. He averaged 26 points a game, but against us, he only got 16, right? He won't take a look at Al, right? So now, think about it. If Al came, if I'm still there, it'd be 4 black guys starting. And paid me. I got paid, so I couldn't complain. I sat out 10 games, 20 games, 25 games, I sat out. And the players were going, why was I still sitting out? They were still losing. It wasn't a question of changing and winning. So when it hit really bad, we're playing Chicago as the front end of a doubleheader in Philadelphia. And I'm on the bench. I'm not getting in, just sitting there. And with about 2.5 minutes ago, he called me to go. He think the game was over. They're down by 12. He told me to go on for Richie. So I go in, and guess who I'm guarding? And who's
How
guarding?
about that?
Tyko Green.
Oh, wow. Whoa. Holy Toledo.
I go, and he's guarding me, and I'm guarding. So what do, Ralph? We're down by 12. I scored 12 straight points to tie the game, right? 12 straight, jump shooting, everything to tie the game, right? The horn blows. Here comes Richie to take me out with 30 seconds to go in the game. And I'm saying that ref go, one of y'all got to get up the court. And our Butler's over there. I'm going, wait a minute, why me? And I got out, and they lost. Chicago TV had me as a guest after. And he said, why you take you out? I go, I don't know. Maybe he's got a different idea than what I have. I walked. Now, a lot of players on the Knicks had a lot of respect for me because they know I wasn't a rookie. Because, I played in the ABL and stuff. So they treated me, so they were a little upset about it. Okay. Now, what happened when Tom got well, every day we worked out, get him in shape to go in the NBA. I said, by the way, that's not the same coach you had in college, man. The guy's a different guy, right? And he stopped playing me, boom. And I said, don't trust him. And lo and behold, Tom didn't believe it, and it turned out the worst experience he ever had, how he treated him. Now, the following year, I go to camp, but I don't have a no cut. Now I got to make the team, okay? And I saw they traded for Gene Shue, who was over the hill, great ball player, Detroit, over the hill. And I started counting. I said, I'm odd man out. I worked out. I went to camp. Didn't have a bad camp at all. And when they break your camp, he called me. Keep in mind, once you get cut, then you don't get paid. He said, thank you for showing up. Bye. He calls me in his office and says, look, I got to let you go. Chicago want to take a let you. I said, I'm not going to Chicago. I got a job here. You follow me? And he gives me $1,000 in cash, right? Like guilt money. I took it. When I went in the dressing room, Richard Guerin said, you didn't get cut, did you? I go, yeah. He said, this is stupid. What are they doing? You follow me? Then Al came over to me. I said, yeah, I'll do all right. I had a job. Ray Holtzman got me a job with Prudential. Now, here comes the biggest mystery, is that we're doing an event 40 years later up in Buffalo, and he was there, and I said, by the way, I was a better ball player than Dallas Butcher. He goes, Butcher had potential. And Lanier looked at me, he says, how was he? I said, fantastic in college, but jacked me and Fred and Tom up. And he says, something about him that I don't trust. Now, Freddie went with the Knicks. He kept cutting Freddie and bringing him back. Send him to the Eastern League and bring him back. I have no idea. Now, 60 years later, we're doing a huge celebrating Tom's team, and his wife, Donovan's wife, came over to the table with Tom's wife was there, not me. And she says to Tom's wife, it still bothers the coach how he treated you guys, your husband and your brother-in-law. Now, my sister-in-law is molding and not confrontational, right? My wife would say, well, why did he do it? Why would he do that to them? Or Tom's daughter would have said it. Confrontational, right? My clone. He's so bad how he treated y'all. He wouldn't talk to us at the banquet. He just waved and took off. He ended up in a bad situation, though. I'm not going to go into that, but it turned out. I went to his funeral. I was reluctant, but I was told, Sam, you go. And I went there, and it was David Busher talking to his wife, and I went on to his wife. Well, I guess I lost my scholarship now, just to laugh it off, Biggest mystery. I couldn't figure it out. No one ever heard of him, and I helped. And Tom took him to the hill. Extraordinary. They were 25-3. he took him to different peaks to the point that they became general manager of the Knicks. And so once that's what he had in mind in the first place.
Right. You mentioned Red Holtzman. Red Holtzman helped you. What kind of a guy was he?
Oh man, let me tell you something. When I came to the Knicks, Red was the scout. Right. He didn't even sit on the bench, but it was a scout. And when I got to the my first day of camp, I went to him and I said, Coach, can you give me a little idea on how to play NBA defense against the players? He said, well, first of all, let me just tell you something. You're not going to stop Oscar, which I did in college after playing him 3 times. You're not going to stop Jerry West. You're not going to stop those guys, but this is what you should think about. Let them know you're in the game. Stuck with me. Let them know you're in the game and you're a tough competitor and you're playing hard. You're going to stop them, but let them know you're in the game. And then when I missed first year after the season, he got me a job over at Prudential Insurance Company as a salesperson. Nicest guy. I mean, and Donovan ended up treating him bad also. But life goes on. But those are
life goes on. What a terrific first show. We are gonna reminisce on a regular basis. The name of it is The Knicks in the Zone. I am privileged to say that Sam Stith is the host of the program. I'll be your George Fenneman to your Grouch. How about that?
You bet your life.
You bet your life. Sam, it's been an honor being your friend for the past year. And
it's been a pleasure. You're so knowledgeable. So it's great to talk to them. I don't know what they're doing. They're doing a documentary right now on Bonner history, which comes on ESPN in January. So they've been working on that. So, but so far,
we'll talk about that the next show. And I just want to tell you that this is a thrill for me. I was a kid then. I was 16, 17, talking about those Knicks teams. I'm a baseball fan, but I couldn't have been more of a New York Knicks fan back in those days. And every name you mentioned, Donnie Butcher, Freddie, I'm just absolutely familiar with them in my memory.
Cleveland Buckner, man, Cleveland Buckner.
Cleveland Buckner was my man. He was Alan's.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.